Good afternoon, everybody. This is Brian with I'd Podcast That, coming to you from Sitch Radio. Today's episode, we are going to cover a few things. I had a question come in, which microphone should I buy? And I asked the question, how's your planning coming? Who's your target audience? And that wasn't answered as of yet. So I want to do this episode and talk about how important planning is with a podcast. People get attracted to the shiny things and they want to go buy a mic and, oh, do I need an audio interface and just start acquiring things without building a good foundation. And that foundation is planning. So a few of the questions I like to ask people are, what are your goals for your show? And typically they don't really have many other than a lot of downloads or something along those lines, which, is awesome. However, we can outline specific goals that are going to help you get to where you want to be, get that show to where you want it to be. So having some goals is step number one. We need to have some goals for our show. Who is your target audience? This is a very important question because if you're doing a show in a niche, then you want to make sure that audience is large enough to support the show. Number one. Number two, it tells you where they live on social media and in other places on the internet. And that's where you market to. So knowing who your target audience is a big thing that needs to be defined. And defining it deeper is, are they mostly male or female? What are their ages? What is, what kind of money do they earn and or make? And these are questions down the line that potential advertisers are going to want to know as well. So knowing who your target audience is and really putting some thought into that is paramount. And it also goes to, how are you going to talk to them? If you're doing a show on fine art, you need to speak to that crowd. And is that truly you? Or are you going to have to put on a facade to communicate with them in the manner in which they're used to being communicated with? Some thought into that can help you decide whether that is the type of show you want to do or not. Next, we have, what type of show is it going to be? Is it going to be a talking head like this, me talking to the microphone and the camera? Or are you going to bring interviews in and guests? And are you going to go out and do live? These are the types of things that will also help you define what type of equipment you need to buy. So it's important to think about what type of show it is you're going to do. If it's going to be talking head, you can get away with a $60 USB mic, plug straight into your computer and rock. If you're going to do field interviews, you need some sort of device to capture that audio in the field, out and about. Without, electricity, battery operated Zoom H6 or, something along those lines to actually capture that audio. So knowing what type of show is very, very important. The frequency, are you going to do a weekly show? Is it going to be twice a week, twice a month? That kind of will dictate how much content you really need to start planning out. And then lastly, I have down, how many episodes do you have planned out already? So sorry about that. I use a tool called Airtable, and let me share it with you here. We'll get this pulled up, and it is a pretty cool tool when it comes to podcast planning. So this is what Airtable looks like. Each line here is an episode. And let me go ahead and blow this up a little bit. I'm throwing you under the bus, Chief, using your show here. So each episode is a line, and when you click into it, we get the episode title, episode number, the stage, released, is a guest invited, is it scheduled already, is it being edited, or is it already edited? There's a lot of good information, tags and or keywords, the show description and links. Is there a sponsorship for this show? This has been such a valuable tool to me and my customers who utilize this tool. So I'm not saying you have to use Airtable. There's another great one called I always butcher the name, AOA, and we'll blow this up, where you can do a Gantt style planning phase for each episode or show. You can change it from Gantt to a workflow style of what's being done when and where. It's a pretty cool tool on the fly, and both of these tools are free. And for those of you who know me, free is my favorite price. They've been great, awesome tools. So if you would like more information about these, hit me up. My links are in the show notes below, but these tools will save you a lot of time and frustration. And look, you don't have to go learn a new tool. If pen and paper work for you, rock the pen and paper. If you're good in Excel and comfortable in Excel, use Excel. Use whatever you're comfortable with. Be sure you can reference it. I like online tools because you can search. So say I had Billy on my show and I want to bring Billy back. Well, how long ago was Billy? Billy was only 4 weeks ago. Let's get a little more time in between Billy episodes. So an online tool is cool for that reason. If you're going to go pen and paper, you're going to need to index it and cross-reference things, the old school way, which is cool, as long as you put that thought into it. It's very, very important that you do that. And the planning isn't the sexy phase. It's fun to sit down with somebody, maybe over a beer and brainstorm and take notes and all of that. But that's, a high level brain dump, if you will. It's not planning. Planning is sitting down and saying, okay, what are my next 10 episodes going to be? And putting down a suggested title in that title column. And it can change because it's just a planning phase. And then writing out a description, and do I have a guest coming on? And now I need to email that guest and try to get them on and align schedules for recording and things of that nature. So that's the nitty gritty of planning. And if you're like, I'm going to do a podcast on remote control cars, and you sit down and you can talk, well, we're going to talk about building one. We're going to talk about different types of engines. We're going to talk about gas versus electric. What else can we talk about? Tracks. We can talk about tracks. Episode 5, what's that going to be about? Not quite sure. You're going to struggle down the line. Yeah, you've got a month's worth of content. Cool. What about month 2? I've worked with some customers who are like, wow, this is going to be kind of tough. And later on that night, they email me. I'm sitting in the recliner at home and email pops up and I happen to open it and it's, man, I've got 32 episodes down. Beautiful. We're only 20 episodes short of a year's worth of content. That's phenomenal. And then you get to start working that content, refining that title, writing that description, scheduling that guest, coming up with tags that support the title and the description so you pop in SEO a little better. That's the type of ongoing planning that a podcast take time and time again. When I started this show way back when, I had a bunch of episodes lined out. I still have suggestions written down from when I started planning this show. And, like I stated last week, life happened, things got busy, the studio grew, and I couldn't commit to this show, which is bad on me. But now I have the time and the energy. I've put systems in place to help me work throughout the week. So I do have time for this. And I enjoy this. I enjoy creating content. I enjoy helping people tell their stories via a podcast. And that's why I'm here. So if you need help with yours, hit me up. My links are in the show notes below. My social media is in the show notes below. It's easy to get a hold of me on any of those platforms and we can talk. And whether you choose to work with me or not, I'd love to help you get your story out there. So until next time, stay safe.